tough, bitter loss for us today. Obviously, a couple more stops, and we come away with a W, but that didn't happen. We're in a situation where we're a very unproven team with a lot of people that don't have a lot of experience on the court. We have people that have experience within our program, like Andy Pierre-Sampson and Angela Staffolino, but they've not played a lot. And so, you know, we're going to have some games like this, and we're going to have to learn from this to buckle down and to find a way to get a stop. And that's whether knocking a kid down and making them earn it at the free throw line, or just simply sitting down and guarding. And we obviously fouled enough. We had 3 starters foul out, and we had another one, Amanda Caitlin, before. So our aggressiveness was there, but unfortunately we fell a bucket short.
How much of this was a perfect storm, early season basketball, unproven, the foul calls, the lulls, both ends? Just was it? Do you view that as as an imperfect storm for you all?
I mean, imperfect storm. I mean, you know, it's tough when the other team is scoring and they're able to get back and set their defense up, and that's what they did to us really in the second. Excuse me, the second and the third quarter, and they were able to set their D, and we're going to have situations like tonight because we don't have a lot of experience and we've got to grow from it. So am I angry with our team? Not in any sort of way. I'm proud of the effort that they gave. We have to go back and we need to watch the film tonight, tomorrow morning, a second time before we meet with the kids, and we've got to teach from that and grow from that. You know, it's just it's a disappointing, bitter loss because, you know, the way that we started. But kudos to Kent State for continuing the battle and come away from the win for them.
You mentioned you were going to define roles before the season. Does this, if at all, change anything, or how do you maybe look to refine those roles and maybe balance the mistakes and just kind of come away with some kind of message from that?
There's no real change in the roles. I mean, when you look across the board, you have a situation where your first 5 all took at least 7 shots, and you know, we didn't sit Amanda or Libby very much. Nina had to sit, and Paige had to sit more than I would have liked because they fouled out and they were in foul trouble. So I mean, you know, their role was there, but when you keep getting fouls called, you know, there's nothing you can do. And Paige's fouls are legit. Like, I mean, she pushed off twice. She deserved those foul calls. I'm not criticizing the officials on that at all. I agreed with those calls. So we've got to be smarter when we've got the ball. It is what it is. So to answer your question, roles are not going to change after one game when you lose by 2 to a team that was picked 3rd in their league, a league that frankly is better than our league, much better from an RPI standpoint. So there's no moral victories, but we're not changing roles because we have a 2-point loss against a pretty good team, a good team.
Tonight was kind of a weird night. Definitely not happy with the outcome, but there have to be some positive takeaway from it. What have you seen from tonight that made you optimistic for the season going forward?
Well, positive outcomes are that it's very obvious that we can score the basketball, and I think a lot of people were doubting us, and a lot of people were concerned whether we could actually score the basketball. I felt fairly confident in that. You know, Annie Pierre in the first half, knocking down both threes, I thought was really good. You know, there's a kid who hasn't played basketball in 3 years, guys. I mean, she's practiced. She hasn't been on the floor for any sort of meaningful minute in 3 years. And so for her to come in and do what she did was very good. But again, from a defensive perspective, she gave up buckets, and that can't happen. And she had not done that in the private scrimmages, but unfortunately she did that tonight. Was exposed a little bit, so she'll have to get better there. You know, positive outcomes are, you know, you can see that we can score the ball. You can always cut down on turnovers. I mean, how many travels did we have? fouls did we have? Things like that that can be correctable to a certain degree are good. You know, I thought of Maya Hamilton in her first college game, to play 26 minutes, didn't shoot it exceptionally well, but 5 offensive rebounds, 10 rebounds overall. You know, didn't make a whole lot of mistakes. I thought that she played very well. So there's positives, but not right now.
A couple times last year, you stressed how much you wanted Laya to be more physical on both ends of the floor. She had a solid night offensively, but are you still looking for more of that on the defensive side, or do you think she's getting there?
I thought she was fine from a defensive perspective. She had a real challenge because she had to help on the guards drive and then get back out to 44, who is a very, very good three-point shooter. I mean, she was 6 of 9 from the three-point line. And, you know, that's where our breakdowns happened. We allowed 44 and then the freshman Shumanti, 14, to make some threes where another 3 to 6 inches closer and they probably don't take the shot. And we closed out a little bit too short on that. And those are correctable things that we should have been better at. We tried to tell them in the huddle, but those are things that we'll have to fix. Laya was obviously effective, being 7 or 10 from the line and 7 rebounds, but she can't have 5 turnovers. And some of those led to buckets on the other end. And so she has to eliminate those. I can live with turnovers to a certain degree, but not 21 in a game. If we're at 12, 13, 14, even 15 turnovers, most times I can live with that, especially if they're aggressive. But you know, you can't have 5 individually. You can't have your starting 2 post players at 10 combined. So you will have to work there.
You had a Precious play about 1.5 minutes. Was that just schematic? Was that injury? Just what would you attribute not having more playing time for her tonight?
She got blown by, and you know, her weakness is defense at this point, understanding schemes defensively, and standing upright, and not talking enough. And it's a typical freshman thing. From an offensive standpoint, I think Precious can help us a whole lot. But we were also dealing with a team that you know, they're going to spread you out. They're going to put their post players out on the three-point line. And if I had my druthers and we didn't have the foul trouble that we had, I probably would have played Paige at the 5 for many, many more minutes. But we weren't able to do that.
Any more questions?
Thank you for supporting women's basketball. I appreciate you being here this night.